Hey there! Welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily show in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Joe Dator. I'm a cartoonist. Out of the way, you swine, I'm coming. I'm an author by my book. And I am a Spice Mine break room concession proprietor.
Good money in that line of work?
Yeah, it's good money. It's easy work. I stock the vending machines. I sell Lunchables to the miners and the Wookiees. Things like crunch spheres and flavor tubes and taste squares, and all of which taste exactly the same.
It must be tough to operate vending machines in the Star Wars universe because there's so many different aliens and creatures that you'd have to take into account so many different palettes, you know?
The real problem is that often the vending machines walk away and go somewhere else and you can't find them because this being Star Wars, everything's a droid, even the vending machines.
Chunks, those are called. Chunks.
Yeah, they're sort of like, basically you have the body of a gonk droid and on top of it is the vending machine. And so it has legs that can go anywhere. So you can say, oh, vending machine, come over here.
Oh,
the problem is, oh, vending machine. Well. But the problem is sometimes the vending machine won't come.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's the problem I've always thought.
Yeah.
Is that it's not bad enough that people are eating snacks. Let's make the vending machines come to them. That'll be the...
Let's give them alive vending machines. That could make everything better and easier. And there's a whole story about the vending machines turning evil, and that should be Solo too. I think.
The unexpected consequences of the droid rebellion is that also people... Speaking
of prequels.
The newly freed the Wookiees and humans that were enslaved, they all starved to death because Wookiees. They couldn't get the vending machines to operate, so they all died of starvation and dehydration.
Well, think about it, and
time enough at last.
But like the droids on this spice mining colony, everything in the vending machine is from like 35 years ago.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing.
So it's all like hot.
Old cans of Welch's and stuff like that. Like with the labels that you don't remember anymore.
What's the
tab?
I feel like what's like far gone. What's a long gone snack item that I wish I could have?
Reggie bars.
Yeah, that's Reggie bars. There's literally candy from 1977 in a Star Wars vending machine, in a canonical Star Wars vending machine.
Go.
What better thing could there be than a Reggie bar? You've nailed it perfectly.
Excellent.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So, that's all we had for this minute.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about minute number 83 of Solo, a Star Wars story. Minute 83 starts off with Lando hobbling across the battlefield carrying L3 when he gets shot. It ends a minute later with Han shooting as he slowly backs his way up the Falcon's boarding ramp. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Gangplank.
So we see Lando get shot.
Yes, which is so on a, I don't know, are we going to call this
personal
intentional?
Note?
Could be. I don't know. In the hands of a different director, I would say, other directors, I could probably clearly say this was or was not intentional. Ron Howard kind of walks the line between, craftsman, like auteur and just kind of, like a worker. Like he can play both sides of it. He'll have flourishes of style that are clearly like, oh, that's well done, kind of, and flourishes of like, well, we finished it, but there's an interesting, compare and contrast is one of my favorite things to say. So go back up a minute or two. And Lando, as we said, just standing there shooting with bravado because he knows he's in Empire Strikes Back. He's not going to get killed. But then once L3 gets hit and he goes out there, he becomes vulnerable in more ways than one. See, Lando's totally Mr. Bravado, Mr. Whatever. Nothing can faze him the whole time. And then once L3 gets shot and blasted, then he, both in a physical sense and in an emotional sense, becomes vulnerable. And then he gets blasted. And he totally wasted. No, he gets hit with a blaster. And so like his physical pain matches his emotional pain to a certain extent. So it seems not only, you know, I'm not sure if that's, you know, how much of that is an intentional, other than just like, oh, well, we'll have him, you know, like to kick him when he's down, kind of to make it more sympathetic, but just the matching, you know, adding in the previous shots with this to make a story, to make an emotional story. I don't know how much of that is intentional.
But it's also, well, we need him to not be able to pilot the ship.
Well, yeah, it's a twofer
in the next scene. So it's clearly that was calculated into it's motivated by the plot. But I think the question you're asking is, how organic does it feel in the shot when it happens? How gratuitous does it not seem?
And your answer?
He's
7.
being shot at. It makes perfect sense that he'd get it in the arm or anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, why isn't he dead? Seems like the real question, you know. So I wasn't thinking like, it's so unlikely that he would be shot. It's not like he was just walking down the street and somebody, you know, shot at him just so that he would have to give the ship to Han. But he's in the middle of a battle where they're shooting back and forth. So, you know, it seems like getting shot. It's not jarring that he suddenly gets shot.
No.
And also we know that even if main characters do get shot, we've never seen we've never seen a main character. I was trying to think in Rogue One, maybe we do, but like we see Leia we see other characters get shot, and if you're a main player character, then usually you can survive it. Okay.
Right.
Chewie gets shot a couple of times. I'm trying to think who's the most.
You lose a limb easily, and it's no big deal. Yeah.
Right. Who gets Luke gets shot in his hand. Who gets? I was trying to think of who gets injured the most. My first thought I was Finn, because he ends 2 of the movies in the hospital, which no other character. I guess Luke kind of ends Empire Strikes Back in the hospital. He's literally getting a medical treatment in the last scene of the thing. But yeah.
Luke is in the hospital twice in that movie. So
that's true. Luke does go. Yeah, Luke gets double hospitalized. So Finn and Luke are tied for hospitalizations.
Do you count the little medical cubby hole in the Falcon as like a hospital? So that could be 3 times.
That's more like he's in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. You know, I wouldn't count that as a separate separate treatment.
That's when is that? Oh, I had it for Friday. I wanted to talk about the little medical nook, but that's a whole different thing. We can talk about it now if you want to.
Save it for Friday.
Right.
I also was going to talk about the medical. Talk about the medical.
Damn it!
What's the matter?
Han says, "Damn it!"
Yeah.
Oh, no, because is he wrestling with? Oh, should I go save him or should I steal the Falcon? And he's like, "Oh, damn it! I guess I got to save him. I can't live with myself if I were to just say, okay, I guess he's dead. Let's go."
Somewhat, or also he's like upset that it's not, you know, things aren't going smoothly. This guy
Lando has the keys.
Oh, that could be, they're in his pocket.
That would have been great if he ran out there and Lando's like, I can't believe you're saving me, and then he reached into Lando's pocket, grabbed the keys, and then just ran back to the ship.
I'm not here to save you. It is like you do see that struggle in him. And it is it a struggle, or is it just like things aren't working out? Like I feel
like it's more like, I don't really feel like he's really struggling with should I go or not.
Right.
I don't know. I think Alden plays it pretty well. That moment. It's a very quick moment because in this heat of this thing, you're making very quick decisions. But I do think there's a moment where he's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. I got to do this. I can't do this. I must do this. And he shows it in his face pretty well. I mean, it's one of the reasons I really like this movie is because I think he does that stuff really well. He embodies the Han Solo thing really well. Yeah, the spirit of Han Solo. This is the thing I've always said about this is he's not he doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford. He doesn't sound anything like Harrison Ford. He's playing the character of Han Solo. He has all of the qualities of him that Han Solo has. He has the bravado that is barely covering his desperation. He's confident when you can see just under the surface he's just holding it together pretty much barely, and he's compelled to do the right thing in spite of himself. And he plays that stuff really well. And he's recognizable as the character. And this is a perfect example of that. I think this moment is great.
Yeah. Yeah, because he has that and he's growing as a character too, and you see that. So this is like a microcosm of that. Like Han both gets more mature and more jaded, which are not, opposites, but like, he understands the world more, both in a good way and a bad way as his life goes on, as do we all.
Yeah.
And
I think Han never really is jaded. I think even in the beginning of Star Wars, when we see him, he's acting really jaded. We didn't know. We thought he had a turnaround by the end of the movie, but I don't think he had that much of a turnaround. I think he was always under the surface a big mushy guy.
I was gonna say Luke got jaded in the old EU, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Well, that's a different jade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the minute where Sagwa and Chewbacca have their tearful farewell?
Sagwa, this way. Sagwa, this way. This is my golden Tony. Yeah, so again, these two are a team. Like I would watch the Tak and Sagwa adventures, or
Yeah.
read
Do you
them
think
or something like that.
Sagwa is Chewie to his Han?
To
Do you
Tak?
think they go out and they have really dumb adventures together?
I hope so.
Like that should be Solo too. They go out and they have like these ridiculous adventures where they go into a restaurant and complain about the check or some stupid thing like that.
Right.
They're not like they're the opposite of Han and Chewie. They're not heroic. They're not fun to watch. They don't really do anything of note.
I'm gonna twist it a little bit and say they are like Han and Chewie, except kind of reversed. Like in this one, Sagwa's the kind of the sort of master in the relationship, if you will, and Tak is like
So it's just flipped, right?
Yeah. He's like, I'm sticking with this guy because he's big and will protect me from this terrible universe we're in. So
Right. All right.
So yes, we saw the scene of them touching foreheads together in their Vulcan mind meld. That was in the trailer, and a lot of people assumed that this was going to be Mala, and it's not. It's just me, Sagwa.
Oh.
And but this is also a weird scene because, and this is like Tak is like, come on, Sagwa, come this way, and I like. It's so weird. It's almost like they kind of like, well, like wouldn't Sagwa go with Chewbacca? Like, how come none of the other slaves are coming to the Falcon to try to get? But I guess they're just kind of like, hey, we have another ship over here somewhere. Where is Tak guiding Sagwa? That's
why I think those two guys are a team that they're like locked in together for some reason. Yeah. Even though Sagwa he would be way better off getting on the Falcon with Chewie, right. And there's plenty of room. He could have gotten on.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Wookiees you could get in one place, but we need to try that sometime.
How many Wookiees can you fit in a phone booth?
How many? Yeah, that's one of the big unanswered questions. Along with what do you get a Wookiee for Christmas?
Sure.
Well, it's also along similar lines, like. As we've established, Chewie and Han have only been friends for like 3 days or something. I'm kind of surprised Chewie doesn't say, hey, you know what, Han? I'm going to go with all these Wookiees because I have a better chance of finding my family going with these Wookiees than I do with you. But
he's
I guess
he needs to make sure that they finish their mission so he's not hunted. If he just no-shows, if he just splits with the gang, then they're like, yeah, I don't know. That then Chewie didn't do his part to pay off Dryden Voss. Dryden Voss is going to send people after him.
So you think when they showed up at Dryden Voss, they'd be like, where's Chewbacca? And they're like, he ditched. You should totally go hunt him down and kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he didn't make it. But
one of the best things about this movie is this part of it for me. It's the lore that used to go around, and I think this was also distributed on the playground along with Han Solo's drunk. is that Han and Chewie are together because Han saved his life and now he owes him forever. And so he's basically his dog forever. And the fact that they left that behind and flipped it on in this movie and had it be a choice that Chewie makes. He frees the Wookiee slaves. And then he is free to go on his own merry way. Han even says goodbye to him earlier this week and says, I guess I'll see you around. He's got to go. Or was that last week? I don't know. And then Chewie makes the proactive choice to say, no, I'm with you. I'm going with this guy. I'm going with you for we're a team. We're good. Mm-hmm. We're good in this. And the fact that he makes that choice, it's not because he's beholden forever with this totally problematic relationship they have. That really made me happy. And I loved seeing that in this movie. It's another reason I love this scene.
Yeah. Well, let me throw this let me add this log to the fire. No, let me talking about the lore and the stuff that we would in that space where not everything was explained. One of the sources for this information was the Star Wars comics put out by Marvel, and John Kasdan says this is number 40 if you're counting along in the things that behind the scenes info about Solo.
How many are there? Do you know?
I think there's 52 or something like that.
Okay.
I've skipped some of them. But he says, when I was growing up, there was a stack of Star Wars Marvel comics in my grandparents' house in Michigan that I assume belonged to my brother. It remained there in exactly the same spot for 25 years. I really wanted the shootout on the landing pad at Kessel to evoke the feeling of those wonderful Marvel comic covers from the 80s. Han and Lando, their blasters blazing. I think Ron Howard achieved that and then some. Seeing those guys beneath the Falcon is the absolute realization of that particular childhood fantasy. Thank you, Ron Howard and George Lucas, it says. So.
Damn, they sure did. This is the vision of like Han and Chewie's adventures that I always had, when reading the Brian Daley books and way back when. This is what I always imagined.
Now that he put that idea in my head, I kind of wish they had done more of like an Avengers style thing where they'd kind of slowed it down when they were kind of in a comic book cover-y kind of pose or something, just kind of really go for that kind of iconic, those iconic images. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that would have been a cool thing to.
My hatred of speed ramping in movies says no.
Right.
What is speed ramping? Is that like
it's the Zack
Fast and Furious thing?
The Zack Snyder
changing
thing.
The speed.
Okay.
Yeah, when it goes to slow motion, then normal, and back to slow, and all that stuff, and you just stop it. Don't do that.
All right.
I have a question about this. I think it's appropriate to bring this up during a minute where we see Anthony Daniels. Are they really smashing droids into who knows what in this place? Is that happening?
Possible. We don't see enough of the thing, and also, it's unlikely 3PO was there firsthand, so he probably just heard rumors. Right. And also, who knows what? They probably treated droids much worse after the slave revolt failed, and then they were like, all right, now we got to treat these droids even.
So this is the moment when they decide, you know what? Let's smash these damn droids into who knows what.
Yeah,
that's how it got around. And they said, oh yeah, here what happened.
It's kind of ironic that Han Solo was partially responsible for the very thing that C-3PO is afraid of.
Into who knows what, into space guacamole. He didn't say space guacamole, but that would have been better, I think.
Yeah.
Well, but Lando's apparently an expert at smashing droids. But also the backing up to the script for a second. The script for Star Wars will be sent to the spice mines of Kessel or smashed into who knows what.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
So that could be like a Clyde's Car Crusher kind of a thing where they're just recycling the robots into other materials.
I don't hear the or in my head of him when he says it.
No, it's a single thought. I always heard it as that's what happens once you get to the spice mines of Kessel. But either way, it's clearly we do see it's not a great place for a droid to be.
It's not a good place for anyone to be, frankly.
Crummy place. It's a crummy place for a droid, especially. Yeah.
1 star.
Yeah. Bad. The Wi-Fi was terrible.
Weather was poor, but that's not anyone's fault.
Freedom was short-lived.
Yeah. Yeah. There was lots of subjugation.
Right. I specifically requested no more subjugation.
No subjugation. They gave me extra subjugation.
Right. Well, that was the it's only, this has nothing to do with anything. Never mind. I was going to say the reviews, like, recently, last time I saw you in person, Joe Dator, was I had stayed in Manhattan overnight at a hotel conveniently located next to Central Park, and reading the reviews, it had middling reviews because people were just like, these rooms are so small, and there's something like, but it's a cheap hotel in New York with you're looking at this out of context, or it's like, hey, the complimentary breakfast was underwhelming, and I was like, what, who's, I don't know. I think, people having different standards for that kind of a thing. So I would like to read the reviews for the Spice Mines of Kessel, I'm sure. I bet there are people who are expecting exactly what, hey, for their Spice Mine, this
some
is
people had a fine experience,
Yeah.
It's a spice mine. What do you expect? It was fine for the money.
Yeah.
And other people were like, oh, I can't believe this wasn't as good as the Coruscant Grand Hotel.
Wow.
What are you, insane?
Well, I assume the slaves are not allowed to vote. They don't have access to Yelp, Yelp.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would say, oh, terrible. The whippings were too frequent, or whatever.
My parents were like, that they would, when I was growing up, my parents were the kind of people who would complain about the food on an airplane.
Mm.
Like they expected
they
expected to get fine dining on an airplane, and they would complain about it for years after.
Wow.
They would just. I never forgot our 2-hour flight to Disney because for the next several years, whenever the vacation came up, they talked about the food on the airplane. Chicken like rubber. The chicken was like rubber. I said we shouldn't have gotten on the Clown Express.
Yeah.
Because it was in fact a rubber chicken, and all you had to drink was seltzer. But it was just this constant like, what did you expect? It's airplane food. Get over it.
Although I will say, and again, tangent going nowhere. One of the best burgers that I ever had when I was in my burger eating days, was on a plane. But it was on. I was coming back from Guatemala, and that like kind of transferring to American Airlines, not just be all like jingoistic, transferring to an American Airlines flight that was then going from, I think, just over the border in Texas from, I don't know if it was DFW, but going from Texas back to New York. And I had been eating, delicious food, but I had been, kind of eating, the food that they eat in Guatemala all for like a week or two. And just that one, having that offer on the plane of like, oh, you can order a burger and it's hot. And I was like, let me get a burger. And it was like flying, like literally like American Airlines, and it's a burger. And I bit into it. I was like, yeah, a burger. Like, I felt oddly like it was so satisfying for what I wanted at the time that I count that among my best burger experiences. But I'm sure
you get good food on an international flight. I once flew on Air France to Europe, and they were giving you champagne and red wine and all sorts of wonderful stuff. This was the rubbery chicken on a 1970s era Delta flight to Orlando.
Yeah,
I don't know what they expected. Wasn't gonna be good.
No.
Does anyone else have anything for minute number 83?
I have a surprising fact about Solo the movie, the film, the Star Wars story, the movie, of the film. In the scene where Han first meets Chewbacca, originally Han said, "What is this, a big monkey? I thought this was Star Wars, not Big Monkey Wars." And that is why they cast Alden Ehrenreich and fired my Uncle Lou.
Wow, that is surprising.
This close, I remember, when they were filming this, and you were like, hey, my Uncle Lou's going to be in Star Wars. We were hoping we were going to have an in. We're like, when we get to that season, it's going to be gold. We're going to just, but then.
Got himself kicked off the movie. They had to reshoot all of his scenes.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And is that why Lord and Miller left? Were they on Lou's? They were on Team Lou?
Yeah, they were like, Uncle, if Lou's gone, we're out of here.
Right. It's good. Loyalty. Yeah. It's rare these days.
Cost the studio millions.
I was trying to think of
more true tales of Uncle Lou on the Star Wars minute. Well, yes. Pete? Did you have something to add?
No, the one thing that I had that we didn't talk about, we could talk about maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we can. Sure.
So none of us want to consult our notes to see if we have anything else we wanted to discuss today?
Let me see. I had one more. No, I think that's pretty much it. I
think I have.
Oh, no, I don't see anything on my notes. So you guys got anything else?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nothing else here.
All right, then. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. In case you weren't aware, we are also do our show on the YouTube, so you can check us out, occasionally do some visual gags exclusively for our YouTube listeners. And hey, if you're a YouTube listener, if you're sick of watching us, you can just listen to us on a podcast, in podcast form. So either way, we got you covered for the next and always Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute show.